Good afternoon, folks. We are live once again. A few minutes late, but that's okay. Let me get everything switched over, and we will officially jump into our first look at Factorio. Alright, we have visual. We're going to be using a different show playlist for the tunes today in the background. So let me turn that on. We'll leave that about there for now. So this particular game has been kind of a long time coming as far as what we've covered here on the channel. And let me check something with my alignment here. Okay, everything should be visible. Once I actually get in here and take a look at the HUD, I can make sure nothing's cropped. But that should be alright for now. Well, up till now on the channel, we have looked at 2 automation sim games at length I can remember. The first one that we looked at was Dyson Sphere Program, which is one of my favorites. That was our first major look at a game that focuses on automation and building, a little bit of exploring, but primarily automation. The second one, most recently, was Satisfactory. Kind of a more complex take on the genre of automation sims, adding in 3D, tons of exploration and combat. And I think along the way for all the games that we looked at, I have to have mentioned Factorio multiple times as we played those games. This particular game is largely considered one of the establishing games in the genre of automation sims. It's not the first to ever do it, but it's definitely one of the biggest and one of the first to really blow up in the genre many years ago now. This game's been out for a while, but recently it got a sizable DLC update, which is why it's called Factorio Space Age, and it fleshes out a lot of the game. I haven't gotten to any of the content, but we'll kind of talk about how everything is set up and where we're intending to go with this. So I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did with Satisfactory. I'm going to load a new game so people who are checking out the stream or the archives can see where you start. I have been tinkering around with the latest version of Factorio for about a week, and I have a save that's much further along. I thought about maybe trying to generate a slightly easier seed to use because I want to get to the new space content, and that's not going to happen right away. That's probably 3 or 4 sessions from now if we were to start from scratch. Or if I were to load up my current save that's a little further along, I think it's maybe halfway to the tech needed to get off world. But we could take a little bit of time at the start of the stream to show where everything begins with the new save, and then I will think about what we'll do long term. I think I'm going to go to my further along save so we can save some time. I can talk through the advancements and what's been done without really losing much time at all, and then we can keep moving towards progressing and getting towards the brand new content, which I'll be exploring for the first time here on stream. What we'll do, we'll set up a free play world. The generated world in Factorio, as far as I know, I'm talking to a friend of mine who actually introduced me to this game. Unlike Satisfactory with a set map, this one is more, well, I don't even know if DSP is completely procedural. I think it is for the star systems, but Factorio, the map is procedurally generated. I've never seen it generate the same way. It uses a seed system. So if you just use a randomized seed like this, you're not going to get the same world as someone else who's loading the game up and trying it and using a randomized seed. But one thing I was thinking about doing, I won't do it for this because we'll probably only be in here for maybe about half an hour as I explain the basics. But I wish I had started with a slightly higher density of materials in my further along save. That way I could focus on building up the tech and getting off-world. I didn't do that, set it to default. So instead, as I'll kind of show off once we get to that save, I'm going to have to branch out, make some expansion bases in order to get more materials. But that's okay. It'll be a good way to sort of talk through and explain some of the concepts when it comes to expansion and building out across the map, and also looking at the exploration aspects, since not quite to the level of complexity that we see in Satisfactory, but there is some exploration and stuff to be done on the map. Rather than get too into spoilers, let's go ahead and load everything up. So there's not really much of a story to Factorio. We're an engineer, and we are crash landed on a planet, and we are basically tasked with upgrading all the way up the tech tree to basically build a space platform and progress to the end of the tech. Kind of similar to the way they set up the objectives in DSP. You're not going to get narrative, and there's no characters really, but there is sort of an end goal. And we're plopped down in the middle of a random planet. This is the ruins of our shuttle. Controls are with WASD, like pretty much every game in this genre. And the graphical style, which is going to be different from everything we've seen so far, is this kind of simplified 3D style. If you zoom way out, it actually kind of looks more like an RTS with the sort of perspective, similar to DSP, but a bit more of that kind of classic 3D look instead of the more modern 3D modeled look that DSP has. But kind of like we do in the other games, we'll salvage the remains of our ship, which will give us some raw materials. And we'll survey our surroundings where the game has decided to drop us. Looking at the map, our immediate area that we can see is the filled in square, and everything else that's black is obscured by fog of war. We are dropped in kind of a dirt planet. I didn't tinker with the biome settings, but there is a bit of variation on the base planet. I think it's called Novice, and it's mostly a kind of forested, simplified biome planet. Nothing really that harsh. I don't think it has like strong climates, but we have resources in our immediate vicinity: stone, coal, copper, iron ore, and there are hostiles. These red dots are biter nests. There are hostile life forms we're playing on default settings in Factorio, and I'll kind of explain once we get a little bit further into the game itself how the hostile life forms sort of play into what you're doing. But first, let's actually get down here to the materials. Yeah, I guess this is more like a desert biome. A lot of scrub brush, dead trees. Here's our patch of stone. Looks like our copper and our iron are sort of smushed together. That's all right. If we hold right click on any sort of consumable or mineable resource, rather, for wood, we'll start to chop down trees. For the ores, if we just sit here and whack away with our pickaxe, we will very slowly accumulate stacks of raw ore. And so the core gameplay loop follows a similar arc to all the other games in the genre that we've seen so far here on stream. You start with basically nothing. You've got to amass some simple resources, which will unlock basic tech, allow you to build and start setting up the rudimentary structure of a base. And then from there, you start branching into automation. So you're not doing everything by hand and moving up the complexity in the tech tree so that you can get more advanced technology, more advanced power generation, and all that. So now that I've had a chance to refresh myself on all the basic controls of this game, because it did take me a bit when I loaded it back up prior to buying the DLC. I think it's probably been a couple years since I've played Factorio. In my original main save for the game, I think I spent a couple hundred hours on it. So I got all the way to what's considered the end of the tech progression, which is building a rocket ship that can go into space and get the sort of advanced resources to build up the tech tree. I don't think I unlocked every single thing, but I completed the final objective. Now, thanks to the multiple world expansion, the overall game is considerably longer, since there's 5 total planets from what I read, and each one has its own set of environments, resources, and things to make. So it's quite a sizable expansion to the game itself. Alright. Another thing that's different, which is more akin to the older school of automation sim games, the SP was like this too. Unlike in Satisfactory, where if we have the materials, we can just drop down our buildings where we need to. In Factorio, we gotta craft everything from scratch. And so this is our base crafting menu, where we can build things based on what we've got in our inventory. We will start with a furnace. And we can drop a couple of these on the hot bar so we can get to them. I'm not going to worry too much about keeping it clean and neat, because we won't be staying with this save. This is just to show off the intro and the start of the game. But we need to start processing this material into something we can actually use. And so the furnaces all run on coal, and they will actively begin to smelt the raw ore into plates. We need iron plates, copper plates to start. And just like in the other games, it's going to involve a bit of kind of running back and forth and hand mining everything until we can get burner drills that will start mining for us. And from there, we start gearing towards actually automating things, which will require power. What we'll do is we'll grab several more stacks of coal, and I should go grab some stone as well. We can mine it from the stone field, or they're kind of large rocks in the landscape we'd have to clear anyway. But it looks like there aren't too many. Yeah, stone patches right here. Watching speedruns of this game is fascinating. Since the original version came out, people basically tried to get to the end as fast as possible. So looking at how they've built like their starter bases and everything from scratch in the beginning was pretty neat to see after you've played it a bit. Figuring out all of the ways to do things quicker and more efficiently as you progress through kind of the coal burner phase into actual power, and then dealing with more advanced automation, and whether you go sort of the centralized mall route for materials, or if you go for a main bus setup, which is what I think I favor after trying both. My main save in the original version of the game and in this version, I decided to go for a main bus. I just like the kind of centralized location of everything. let's see. Can queue up a few more of the furnaces to build. And we're going to eventually need to get our first drill piece of equipment down. So put a burner drill here. I really need one more. One thing I learned early on, as I was watching some YouTube videos about Factorio and early tips, there's a way to kind of set up an infinite mining pattern with these particular drills since they're powered by coal. If you have the mining coal, I think you only need 2. And we'll test that here. But first I need more of the metal. We need plates, which are crafted into gears. And that. And we need a stone furnace. Let's throw that in here. Eventually we'll need to smelt more of copper. By hitting control and left clicking, we can grab the materials directly out of the smelters without having to open them up and pull the contents out of the output. Just like we've seen in other games like DSP, to some extent Satisfactory, when we get to automation, we'll need a means to move things from one source to another using something like inserters. But we are not quite there yet. Okay. Let's grab some more of the burners. Now can test the loop. Yeah, we just need 2 facing each other. You can set this up in a grid too when we get more materials. As long as they feed into each other into an infinite loop, because they're powered by coal and they're mining coal, they will spit the output of mined coal into the next one, and they'll feed each other and just continue to go infinitely, and you can grab the surplus. I think it works a little bit better with 4, but we can start here. And so a good portion of, I'd say, the first hour or 2 of the game is working through the bottom of the tech trees. You run between resource patches, hand mining things, running back, smelting it, and getting what you need in order to unlock some more tech. If we hit T, we can see the tech tree here. Eventually, just like we see in pretty much every game of this genre, we'll need a research currency here. This is red science. That's where that term comes from. You've heard me use it in a bunch of the games we've played on stream. But this has a component requirement, and then we'll need a research facility, which I guess it just gives me once I get the material. I don't have to unlock the research facility itself. But it looks like this the lab, it's kind of glass dome. This consumes the science currency to research whatever tech you're looking for. Okay, let's see if we can get some more stone. Basically, we're going to focus on a little bit of stone for the furnaces and iron. We would eventually branch out into copper, and those are the three main things we need to accumulate to get the basic components of sort of an early starter base. Whoops, we need raw ore. Okay, this gets us our fourth drill. Which if we go like this, we have them going in a circular pattern, feeding one after the other. As soon as they mine enough to spit out the output into the next one in the chain, now these four will go like this forever till they're full, then they'll stop. And so what this allows us to do is come over here, hold control, grab all the extra coal, and then that's it. We can just grab it and go. It's not a long-term solution, but in the short term, as we're just getting set up, we don't really have to worry about coal. We can focus on getting our iron and stone, and then eventually our copper too. And I think what I'll do is I will go for just a burner setup that goes directly to furnaces, since that's pretty much all we can do until we get belts and power. So I'm going to move these two in a sec. Should we put this on here? I don't know if that's really common practice, but we can put our ore just on the hotbar so I can just grab it out of this section and dump it in. I have to pull up my inventory every time. We won't need stone, just these two. And just by getting 50 plates, we've unlocked steam, which is how we get power. I think what I'll do is I will work up a little bit further in the tech tree and kind of show off how power works, and then we'll jump to the main save, since everything else after that's a bit longer in progression. I could show off the combat too. So we'll go for a little bit longer and then switch to the main save. There's much more to talk about there. Okay, I'll grab some more of those. run back here and grab some more coal. These things should be close to filling up. Now we got a bunch. So now we start the real simple basic framework of quote-unquote automating stuff, so we're not doing it all by hand. So what I'm going to do is set up 2 of the burner drills to the furnaces. We could put this on the hotbar too. Drop in the coal for power. And now, what they will do is, as long as they're powered, the drills will pull up iron ore and spit it directly into the furnaces. And as long as the furnaces have coal, which we'll have to manually refill every once in a while, they will also just start smelting on their own. The output spouts this kind of little thing at the bottom in the sprite. So now we don't have to go and manually pull up the ore, dump it in the furnace and whatnot. We don't even have to open it to grab it. We can just hit control and boom. Just like that. We can now get our irons kind of grab and go. Likewise, I believe I can just stick this and have it drop it directly into a box, a storage crate. What we'll do is we'll set this one up the same way, but we'll have to make sure it's always full of coal. Which should be a non-issue. Okay, good. So this one's doing the same thing. We don't need to smelt the stone quite yet. I don't know if we even can. Oh yeah. We can make brick, but for now we're using it to craft furnaces. There we go. Alt mode will show us the contents of all of our storage items. Now we've progressed from running back and forth and hand mining everything to running back and forth and grabbing and going. And I guess, well, first we need to craft some more of the drills. Maybe we can get one more of the iron, because we're going to need it for a lot of things. One more of the iron, and maybe set up one over here for copper, because what I want to show off next is our route to actual electric power. For that, we're gonna not only need lumber, but we'll need some copper pieces too. Just like before, we're gonna feed copper. I will do 2. Copper directly into a furnace. Power them by coal. It's gonna get us copper plates. Wouldn't hurt to maybe add 2 more of those to the loop so we can get larger stacks of coal. Yeah, let's do that. We'll go 6. I think I've had up to maybe a dozen, just so I can grab tons of coal all at once and not have to worry about it, but 6 is fine. Oh, I guess we want to go over here. Okay. Now these are going. Actually, we could do this. I forgot how I used to set this up. I could put a crate here. Another one right there. There. Doubled our output of stone. And these are empty. We'll need to stock them up with more coal. In the meantime, let's grab water pump, burn a boiler, and a steam engine. That is going to be the basics of our power. In order to make power poles, we'll need wiring, which is our first copper material that we're going to need to craft. And using lumber from all the trees we've been knocking down. We craft some power poles. Next up, we need to start gearing towards... I don't think I'll go into the research. What I'll do is I'll run this kind of mini objective like I'm intending to proceed up, but actually no, I can't. I need to do inserters. Okay. I'm gonna craft a couple of these. We're also gonna need some pipes. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna illustrate the setup. Actually getting it connected and running would take probably another 20 minutes. So in order to establish our electrical power, we need to have water. And this particular map only has one pond in the middle. These are all of our constructed buildings. Okay. So here we need to go to the source, throw down a pump, which is going to actually pull the water up. This isn't going to matter a ton, but from there, we'd have to hook up a boiler to the water source. This takes the water and uses fuel to produce steam, and then steam engine, which I guess it can, well, let's do it the way I normally do it. Once the steam engine's hooked up, it takes the steam and actually processes it to create the actual electricity itself. And so from here, you have the steam output or energy output connected to a power pole, and this is what you run as your power grid. We can see right now, this is the electric network info, our overview of all the power being generated and drawn by our particular setup. So what you're supposed to do in order to get all this up and running, and this placement is kind of unfortunate because the water is so far away, you need to have a coal setup, running coal to these burners in order for it to be automated. Otherwise, you're going to have to manually run back and forth and drop fuel in here so it goes. And I guess I can do it with wood to start. Wood will burn extremely fast, so this wouldn't be a sustainable example. But from here, now we have steam being produced and being pumped over to the actual steam engine, which can power things with electric energy. Base production 900 kilowatts. We have nothing attached that's drawing it though. Let's see. What's the best way to show this? I guess I can show the setup. So what we would do if we were running this from actual start to completion, we'd have belts running north from the coal patch down near the main base. A lot of belts in this case because it's so far. But the belts would come up here, transport the coal, and then we have an inserter, which is basically our material mover. These little arms would take the coal and feed it over here to the boiler, and then that would power everything, and we'd set up a bunch of these to establish our network of electricity. And as long as the coal keeps supplying the boilers with fuel to create steam, then they'll keep feeding it over to the steam engines, and this is what will be powering our base. Now, even though it's very slight, we now have a draw of less than 5 watts because our inserter is not actively doing anything. But the grid is officially active now. There is something that is drawing power. And the next progression of tech, which reason why I'm going to cut off here is because we need to actually go into research. We need research to get electric drills, but we have to get here first. Oh, we have to craft a lab. Which we have the components to do, so it'll open that up. But right now we have essentially tier 2 materials, and then circuits are, yeah, those are considered tier 2. Same with belts. By doing that, we unlocked red science, which I guess I could show this off here. This will be a better example than nothing at all. This is not how you would set this up normally, but since I can craft the red science, we can click on the lab and drop the science pack in there. And now if we go over here to our researchable tech, we can actually start researching things. This is probably the best thing to start with. Base automation. So now these will consume the flasks. And the progress bars up here. The more of these facilities you have going, the faster stuff will research. And then once it's done and unlocks the tech, you move on to the next one. Automation is our first assembling unit, essentially. Something that can craft something out of multiple components. And that starts us on the path to automation. And that does open up the electric mining drill, so this will be probably the second thing. Before we wrap up here and jump to the main save, I'll show off what the combat looks like. I'm going to die immediately. Unless I... Nope, I have to research automatic weapons. Okay, well, right now we start armed with 10 rounds and a pistol. Combat in Factorio is not terribly complex. I'm kind of curious to see what they've done to sort of flesh that out, since the hostile life forms have been definitely fleshed out on the different planets. But populated throughout the map are these, though. I was not ready. These little insect creatures called biters. And as soon as you get close, they will mob you. They do not like any sort of intrusion in the territory. I was hoping I could explain before they just run up on me like this and I run out of bullets. The simple basic ones are meleeers. They'll run up and they'll just keep biting your face off. Alright, where's the nest? It's dark, so it might be a little bit tough to see, but the hive cluster is very Zerg-like. Start with these spawners, and they spit out the actual attacking units every couple seconds. And what they're driven by, they're probably going to attack me if I get closer. This red cloud around our central base where we started is our pollution. And I think we can set it to filter. I don't really mess with the map filters. But this pollution cloud is driven by what we've built in our base. Our production, our energy, everything factors into this cloud of pollution that slowly spreads and gains in concentration as your base grows. The hostiles, the biters, which are the red dots here, they don't like the pollution. And the way it's always worked in the base game is once the cloud gets to the point where it hits their territory and they can actually sense it or breathe it, essentially, they get upset and they start targeting the source of the pollution, which is your base. And so what you have to be careful about as your operation expands is the immediate proximity to the hostile life forms. And I haven't really encountered this in my current further save, because I've actually been proactive and been fighting these things on the map. I'll show that when we jump over there. But once you get into their proximity, they will start actively attacking and sending units to your base to hit your structures. So not only are you having to deal with optimizing your tech production, but you're going to have to build some defense and offense so you don't die, because they will send large groups. And over time, the hives will grow, and so their amount of units they produce will be higher, and then the actual complexity of the units themselves will go up. They'll be stronger. There's some heavier, medium-sized ones. There's some projectile-spitting ones, and they basically become more dangerous over time, so you can't really ignore them when you're playing on base settings. You can turn them off if you really wanted. But part of the core gameplay loop is juggling not only developing your base and your factory, but dealing with hostile aliens that want to eat your face. And so we're way zoomed out here, but I don't have the firepower to take these things on. If I were to go in the space, these small worms, which eventually get much larger, these are like sunken colonies or spore colonies from StarCraft. They're sentries. They'll pop up and start spitting like a slowing acid at you, which puts hazards down and slows your movement while the rest of the melee attackers swarm you. And so we're not geared to deal with that, but the actual management of your proximity to the hostiles is an interesting component of the gameplay loop. It's something you always have to be kind of aware of and check your map, because I'm pretty sure once the red starts to overlap them, it might not be immediate, but I think as soon as it gets to the point where it's touching them, then they will start to become aggressive towards the source. And the more you build, the faster the cloud grows and the more intense the cloud gets, which drives their evolution as well, I think. Getting in the late game, you're dealing with big swarms of these things hitting you with a whole diverse kind of mix of units. And if you don't have defensive things to keep them out and turrets and whatnot, then your base will get overrun and all of your construction stuff will get razed to the ground. And it'll be interesting to see how each different planet, when we ultimately get there, has its own form of invasive life, because they all behave differently from what a friend was telling me. One very good friend of mine, this is his game. I think he's put in close to 5 digits worth of hours in Factorio, and he's been playing around with new content since it dropped. And he was saying each world feels very different in how it behaves, how the resources that you accumulate from the world work, and the endemic life and how it tries to ruin your builds. So that is a very, very quick overview of the early game from touchdown to the start of power in Factorio. Like I said, if we would keep going, our next goal would be to establish fully automated power and getting coal up here, which would take a while. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually load up the main save that I want to work on while we're streaming the game. And I can look at the hour count too, as I can't remember how long I've been playing it. 8 hours. My main save down here, I think it was the island one. That's 49. This one's 48. Well, 66. Okay. All right, so Space Beatopia, like we usually name ours. This will be our main save. And hey, Lava's here. Lava says, "Hey Raku, news update. Judo is now on Tuesdays." I see. How was your judo session today? Yesterday. Today's Wednesday. This has been kind of a blur of a week, but welcome to the stream, Lava. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, so now we're gonna load up the main save. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on here, because compared to what we were just doing, this is much further along in the progression, and our objectives are a bit more further along. Lava says it was fine. I also apparently eat sushi faster than a sub. I didn't know you eat sushi. I know, I don't know how common it is up where you're at, but I'd be curious if you feel like sharing what your favorite type of sushi is. It's one of my favorite foods, so I always like picking the brains of other people who eat it as well. Oop, no, don't do that. What I was doing when I left off earlier is starting to upgrade a lot of my setup here to Mark II belts. It goes yellow, red, blue. Oh, I see what you're saying, like a sub sandwich. I gotcha. 40 seconds to eat. Eat a 6-inch sub in max 40 seconds. My favorite sushis, salmon or clam. Oh, clam, like a surf clam, which is Mirugai or Hokigai. Never remember which one is which. The red one? I think it's Hokigai. Red surf clam. I haven't had that in a while. That's one thing I didn't get to try in Japan. It's very common. Hokigai, if I remember correctly, red surf clam is Wazi's favorite type of sushi to eat. My favorite type of like sashimi, which is just the raw fish, is salmon. If you have it by itself, this is sashimi. If you have it on top of a little piece of rice, that's nigiri. I will eat either. Hey, Valiant's here. It says what kind of sub? Also hi. How's it going, Valiant? Welcome to the stream where we're going to be talking about a lot of technical things in the world of Factorio. All right. So having put in about 8 hours of work, what we've done in the production here is we've centralized the base level materials into what's called a main bus, where we have everything being pushed down conveyor belts in rows of 4. I know it looks like 5 because of the stuff feeding in here, but we have stone brick, we have copper plates, iron plates, circuits. Green circuits? What are these called? Electronic circuits. This is our first tier of materials. Lava says, in my younger days, I could down a foot long in 50 seconds. I usually do cold cut combos. And as far as sushi goes, when I'm feeling special, I go for a lobster roll. Oh, nice. You guys are making me hungry. Now I have to think about whether or not I want to order sushi for dinner. Probably shouldn't. I've got some leftovers I need to eat. But on the second tier of the main bus, one second, phone's blowing up. On the second tier of the main bus, we have 2 open belts. Well, until it gets down here. There's 3 things on here now. The gears on top, copper wiring, steel, and then there's an empty one at the bottom. And to briefly walk through where all of these materials are coming from, because again, I was in the process of upgrading everything, so you're going to see kind of a mix of buildings. Our main iron patch, which is running out. I mentioned earlier that we don't have infinite resources here like in Satisfactory, so we're actually getting low on iron, so we'll have to probably secure that as part of the immediate objectives. But all of our drills are pulling up iron ore, and they're sending the raw ore to 3 spots. 2 smelting arrays that have plates, and a double smelting array down here that's taking the plates, smelting the plates, taking those, smelting them into steel, which is the next tier up as far as the iron materials. Likewise, over here, our main coal patch, which is also getting low. Maybe not quite as fast, but it's taking the coal needed to smelt everything to the iron and steel sites, and then up here to the copper. So we have 1 site doing copper, and then here's the patch where everything's being mined. This one, the spots are probably getting a little low, but we can expand out here if we need to. So copper is not as finite, but we will run out eventually. The stone patch is over here, kind of in the corner, and that's pulling all of the stone ore, raw stone ore, down here to smelting array. That's taking all the stone ore, crafting into bricks, and it's using coal from the main coal site to do that. And all these things are outputting to what's called the main bus to have it all in 1 spot. And again, this will look kind of similar to what we did in DSP for those that were there when we played that. But when you have the lines transporting everything down the centralized corridor, whenever you need it to need a specific resource to build, what you do is use these underground splitters or underground belts to make room and split off a line, send it up to wherever you're building, and you have your assemblers take the materials, and then the inserters here are pulling them into the assembly machine and then spitting out the results. And this setup makes it a little bit easier to compartmentalize what you need built where, because you can just split off a line, build everything and then keep doing that. You just have to keep the supply adequate so that it can fuel all things you have split off. There's a couple different miscellaneous components that are being crafted here. We have belts, which are needed for one of the second tier sciences, green science, and also Mark II belts right here. I need to convert this to Mark II underground belts as well. That requires more gears. We'll deal with that eventually. Up here, these are where the inserters are being crafted, because the inserters and the belts go up here to craft the next tier science, which is green. Red's down here. Just grabbing gears plus copper plates. And over here is our research site. And so all these are currently not researching anything. Let's fix that. We'll queue up flamethrower turrets. Oh, I can't do that one. There is a third color military science, which I haven't started crafting yet. We'll do red circuits instead. Interesting. The frame rate on the animation for these things seems to have dropped considerably. Doesn't really matter, but it's a weird visual effect. Normally they blink a bit faster. I'm kind of curious to see how this game holds up streaming it with a model. It should not perform worse than Satisfactory, because this game's assets are much more simple and it's not quite as resource intensive. Everything looks okay, but as you can imagine, when you start getting into really big bases, big factories, you have a lot going on, we're probably going to be pushing the limits later. But for now, should be okay. Okay, looks like we've got a bit extra Mark I belts for now. We'll just dump these in here. Looking at the map, our next major thing to do, and I don't know if we'll completely get here today because I gotta start dealing with the fact that I'm running out of the basic resources. Up here we have an oil field. Oil is the start of fluid production, my least favorite part of any automation game. But this field has a bunch of spots where we'll have to put down oil mining rigs. And then I thought about what makes the most sense. I'm pretty sure the easiest way to do this is to pump all this all the way down with pipelines into our base. And maybe start putting all the fluid production stuff in the corner. What I wanted to do is bound the whole base with a wall, and that way I can set up a turret system. But we're going to need a lot of space, so I might run it all the way down here and bound it in the kind of a rectangular shape. So if you look at the pollution cloud compared to our first save when we were testing everything, we've covered a lot more space. And eventually we're going to start hitting the territory of the biters in the area. I took out some near the top, but I see some new ones have popped up here, and there's a bigger hive here. We're going to need to get at this coal and this copper, this coal, but first off, when we expand, probably down here to this iron patch, which means we need to take these out. So what happened? Everything just lost power. Why did that happen? Here, oh, that would be why. Here's where all the power is being generated from the water. This is boilers and steam. It looks like I'm out of coal. How am I out of coal? The nearest secondary patch of coal was way down here. That would be why. Three of the nodes ran out. Okay, what we can do is we can retool this slightly. It's kind of annoying. What I'll have to do is get everything built and then run up and dump a stack of coal into one of the burners so that it starts the whole power grid up again. Okay, this is a decent amount, so at least it shouldn't run out for a while now. But this is also a temporary solution. Just need enough to connect this spot and this spot, and then I'll probably have to, I'll have to mine a bunch of coal by hand and dump it into some of my boilers to start everything up, and then once it goes, it'll be done. Okay. I wonder if it pinged an alert. I have the game volume for pretty much everything turned down at the moment. But that's the first time the grid's failed. Eventually we'll get some faster means of travel. But for now, we'll hoof it. I left my car up the other side of the base. Okay, that should be enough. We just split this amongst some of the boilers. I can run on the belts. It'll go a little faster. Okay, these are up and running, which should drive enough power down to turn the drills on. I should probably double check. What I really want to do is split the coal stack, not just dump it all in one. Let's do that. We need enough coal to restart the drills and have them last long enough to bring all of the coal up to the burners, and then everything will be off and running. Which should do. The belts themselves don't draw power. They'll run even if the grid's down, which is handy. Okay. The drills are running, but because the whole grid is stressed with only a couple active burners, two specifically, they're not fully powered. We need to help out the grid a little bit. Okay, let's just dump this in here. Everything's going to be running at low power, but the source is feeding everything up. So as they come online, however briefly, that should boost the grid up to the point where eventually, how fast is this burning? We'll see if this works. In the meantime, maybe I'll throw some trees in there since there's trees right here. I guess I could have run Mark IIs, upgraded these to Mark IIs, would have got the coal here faster. I don't know if I have enough though, it's kind of far away. Okay, still way overdrawn. Let's try and shore up the difference with some lumber. It does not look like that was enough. There is a way to fast clear the lumber with grenades, but we don't actually get it as a resource. If we do that, it just clears it. I think we have to mine by hand. Another thing I could do, if I can't supply enough fuel to get the grid up reliably, I can run up to the base, grab a bunch of coal off the conveyor belts, and just dump a whole bunch down here. That's another option. That might be easier than fighting an uphill battle. I'm trying to throw lumber in there. I'm just gonna go grab a bunch of coal since there's some right here, conveniently. Okay, that should be enough. That should be enough to sustain the grid until the mining drills can catch up. Now we have coal coming in. Output looks a little more stable now. Eventually, when I get into further up the tech tree in fluid production, I want to be able to create some accumulators that'll store surplus energy and put down solar panels. That will be another temporary solution until we get to higher tier energy production. I figure out where I'm going to put a solar panel field, but it's still a ways off. We can upgrade these inserters too. Yellow ones are level 1, blue's level 2, red's longer distance. I think green is level 3. These will draw a little more power, but they'll yank things off the belt faster. Okay, now we should be fully up and running. 20.7 megawatts. Everything's powered. Okay. That was an annoying sidebar. But a good reminder that we need to keep an eye on our coal reserves in addition to everything else. But next up, we need more iron. 2 more nodes got depleted here. Really, there's one here with a bit. We're almost dry, so let's target this one, which means we gotta go fight some bugs. All we'll do is we'll take a trip across the map in our shiny car, which is right here. We got a save reminder from lava. Yeah, periodic save reminders are good since I will forget. Let me get further down the map to where we're headed, and I'll do a save since we're going to be getting into some fights, and they could go south very quickly if I'm not careful. Okay. I'm going to zoom out. Here's the iron patch. That red cluster directly below is a decently large biter nest. And we want to scrub them from the map. Not get that close. I don't want my car to get blown up. Okay, so we've upgraded our base pistol, which sucks. I don't think anyone really uses the pistol, but I'll save here. I'm using a rifle or submachine gun. This fires much faster, and this is tier 2 piercing rounds for our ammo. Now, my general strategy when dealing with especially the meleeers, and they're fast, what I like to do is set up a turret line I can fall behind. Just like photon cannon style from StarCraft. Since these don't require power, interestingly enough, they will just shoot whatever's within that circular radius. That's kind of a lot of ammo. But the gun turrets do pretty decent damage. And what I want to do... So we got some of the worm sentries. Oh, they see me now. Fortunately, this level 2 ammo will tear through these first couple tiers of minions quickly. You can see the small ones go down quickly, but the slightly larger ones soak a little more damage and they die. But I need to get close. Close enough to shoot. And fortunately, there's none of the worms on the top end. So I'm going to target the spawn facilities first because we don't want them spitting out more. And then we'll work our way further in. If I start to get mobbed, I can use the grenades. Okay. Which might end up being useful because the second tier biters actually get close. The way health works in Factorio, if you can avoid getting hit for a while, your health will auto regen. Okay, we took out 2 of them. Let's try to take out another one. That's a larger worm. And they have considerable range. And the green things are the slowing poison I mentioned earlier. Not only will it do corrosive damage over time, but it will slow us down. So we want to take you out as quickly as possible. Alright, this leaves one spawner. Not too bad, but the fact that we have the medium-sized ones on the map is dangerous. Alright. Okay, that clears the nest. We just need to clear this small worm sentry. And now the immediate threat here is done. That wasn't too bad. Oh boy, there's a way bigger nest just further south. Oh man. Okay, I might have to empty one of my turrets. We should probably deal with that. That's the bigger threat. Okay, I'll leave my car there and just hoof it. What we'll do is we'll save just out of range of the hive too, since this is much more potential to go south than what I was just doing. Okay, they're behind the tree line. Oh, I wonder if I can use that to my advantage. Oh no, the cliffside ends there. They're just gonna go around. Okay. First I'm gonna make a path. Might be able to funnel them a little bit. If they mob my turrets before they're fully loaded, that's a problem. Okay. Where are the defenses? Oh, okay. There's not a lot of worms, but there are level 2 biters. A bit more than the last hive we fought, but not too bad. If we let this sit, they'll continue to grow and expand, and then they'll be much more dangerous at some point. Okay. What we can do is let's advance the line a little bit. Good old turret rush strategies. Okay. Should deal with the initial ones that are spawning close by. They should aggro the turrets unless these bottom ones spawn closer to me. But we can use that to our advantage to just start taking out the spawners one by one. It's not too bad. Just based on the size of the sprite, I thought it was a bigger hive. But it's still something we can take care of now. So if we leave it unchecked, we'll have a much bigger problem. Advance the line a little more. really want to do is take out that worm. Oh, it's a small one. Okay, it's good. Do the same thing. Move the turrets up. Okay, this one should be cleared off in a sec. We'll see if there's anything else kind of in the bottom of the map near that iron pile before we start building there. Okay, good. That did burn quite a bit of ammo, but we got through it. You can see just dozens, or I zoom in a bit, dozens of biter carcasses. They'll despawn, I think, over time. But we haven't seen the last of those little buggers. Okay, south end of the map looks clean for now. I think the way it works is as the pollution index goes up, the incidence of the hives spawning on the map will start to go up too. So we'll have to constantly be checking, because just even though it's clear right now, at some point there might be some small starter hives popping up that we'll have to either be ready for or snuff out before they get close. Likewise up here, these I'll probably have to deal with next because we have to go north for the oil. And ideally I'd want all these taken out and these two over here. But we can start in the south, grabbing some iron. We'll just need to run some power all the way down here. We'll leave our car right there. And these are the medium power poles. I think they have roughly the same distance as the wood ones, but a bigger radius. And they might be a little bit further apart, but they have a bigger power radius. The blue squares, anything placed in that vicinity will receive power from these, which is good. I guess what we can do, we can run everything up diagonally. It doesn't need to be straight. We can run everything up to over here. A little too far. And connect to the grid via the satellite base where coal's being mined. Tricky thing after this, which I should have grabbed more belts when I was back at base. We'll see how far we get. We got to run several drills and then belt, which I guess for now, because we don't have trains set up yet, for now this is the best way to get all the materials from this patch up to the main base. But eventually we're going to want something like trains, like we did in Satisfactory, or running the commodities up from one site to another. But another problem I just thought of is we can run the ore up and smelt it in base, but is there coal? No. There is coal here, but that's for the power generation. Oh, it's annoying. Okay, we don't have a choice. We're going to have to run the ore maybe up to the south part of the base and probably run coal from here into the base so that we can actually start smelting all the stuff that we're bringing up. Alright. It's not exactly the way I wanted to do it, but I don't have much of a choice. And we'll set them up this way. And we're going to run Mark II belts up. And I'll run them up as far as I can go. Yeah, that might get pretty close. Doesn't need to go all the way into the base because we'll be working in the south here. So maybe we go about... get a little closer than that. We'll run all the way up to a round of belts. And we'll do the smelting here. That's good enough. So now we have all of the iron ore, and we'll need to put down more drills. I'll do that before I completely leave this area. What I want to do is take the car back up to the base, stock up on ammo, and we're going to go fight some more of the biters. We're going to take out these hive clusters here. In fact, we could do it this way. Should have enough. We'll go 8, 4 and 4. And eventually we'll probably need to build out more. But we are out of belts. Oh, that's annoying. What I want to do is have this running up and merging into one line. So these 4 and these 4 are all pumping up stacks of ore on the same belt, but I'm out of belts. So we'll have to truck back to base, do that, and queue up some more ammo production. I'm pretty sure I forgot to do that before I left. Two more nodes gone. 4 more nodes gone. Yeah, I should have set the resource density a little bit higher when I generated this world, but that's okay. We'll just manage our resources and expand accordingly. Okay, we need copper over here. Yeah. Eventually what we'll need to do is have all the belts here upgraded to Mark IIs, all of the inserters upgraded to Mark IIs, and all of the assemblers upgraded to Mark IIs. The gray ones are the base level 1s, the blues are level 2, green is level 3 for everything. And also need to finish upgrading my smelters. How much ammo? Did not craft a ton of ammo. Great. This is taking iron plates and crafting it into level 1 ammo, and then this is taking copper and steel, crafting to level 2 piercing rounds. I need to go run and fry some chicken real quick, but what we can do is let this run while I'm doing that, and then we'll gear up and get ready to start clearing more bugs off the other parts of the map so we can expand some more. So I'll be back in 1 sec. Alright. Chicken has been fried. Eventually, once I have more steel production, I'm going to take this whole ammo setup and I'm going to move it to a spot where it's fully automated. But for now, I'll just keep feeding the stuff manually. That should be enough ammo. So we're gonna find out. These hives look a little bit bigger, but they're closer together. I'm thinking we cut around from the top. We take the smaller one out first, and try not to get too close. Otherwise, we'll draw aggro from the other one. Worth noting that these cars, does it actually have a name? Yeah, the cars are armed. This thing has a submachine gun mounted on top. But I haven't been taking it into combat because it's costly to build another one. I'd rather just head out on foot. And if I die, I can just hoof it all the way back and not have to worry about crafting a whole new car. They do take damage if you run into things, though, so you have to be careful. Alright, we're a little bit below. Oh boy, that's too close. Okay, we're doing the bottom one first. Okay. A couple small worms, a bunch of the spawners. It's not too bad. We're gonna do the same things before. Turret line. Start to pick off the defenses, and then pick off the spawners. Okay, 4 should be enough. Using with a couple hundred rounds. Ooh, boy, it's a little close. We do not want to get slowed, since it'll make it harder for us to back off and get to the turret line. Let me see if I can get a good shot on this one on the top. Oh, they have spitters. Great. They're smaller units that can spit the same type of slowing acid, which are not fun. Okay, I think I need to move the turret line closer. As we proceed, we'll unlock some better weaponry. There is a flamethrower, which is pretty effective against the bugs. No, I should have probably saved. Yeah, we'll do a save here, just in case things go south. They probably will. Okay, worms are done. Just like before, we just need to systematically destroy the spawners. It shouldn't be a problem. This is going to burn a lot of our ammo, but it's okay. Seems like it's a time spawn on the level 2s. Yeah, I think they pop out every so often, and then the little tiny ones pop out normally. Okay, good. It's another nest gone. Let's head up further north and take out the smaller one. Too close. because our ground speed's a little bit faster in the car, we could play hit and run, but since I do not feel confident in my ability to control that car well, rather than do that, we'll be a little more careful. One worm, 2 worms. The small ones. Okay, it's pretty manageable. Alright. Take this one out, and we're clear. Could go further up and deal with the small ones. Let's swing back through base since we have to go that way anyway and see if we have more ammo we can grab. Okay, here's the coal. There's a decent amount here, so we should be able to make use of that for a bit. Okay, here's the bottom end of the base near small coal patch that's supplying the steam power. Okay, throw more ammo. Level 1 ammo supplies in there. Idea would be to have this going even while we're out hunting bugs, so we can stock up when we come back. Grab more steel. It's another node depleted. Just gonna put a drill here. I'll just upgrade this level 2's while I'm here. Okay, that's good. Let's grab some steel. What's the ratio here? Oh, it's 5-1. Okay, yeah, we go through copper a lot faster than we go through steel. That's right. That should be enough. And now we gotta go all the way up there. It's a gate. I'll make the gate wider. Should be enough. Yeah, just have to be a little bit careful. Thread the needle. These barriers, I didn't really explain this, but these barriers are walls to keep out the hostile biters. Ideally, if we were in danger of being hit from any of the directions where these things are spawning, we'd want to have a solid turret line and then ammo feeding the turrets with like a too thick wall, because the attacking enemies will, I believe they'll target the wall first unless they're ranged, and they'll shoot whatever's shooting them. But the meleeers will try and tear down the walls to get at whatever is attacking. So the idea would be give them something that's going to stop them so that the turrets behind can shred them before they get all the way in. Oh, I could just do this. Keep forgetting I can use grenades from inside the car. Let's chuck them out the window. Okay, let's take out the little starter hives first. That should be easy. Yeah, that shouldn't even require turrets. What's interesting is you can see the remains of the nests. There was a big cluster here and I took it out, and now more have spawned around. But I don't know if the land reverts over time or it just becomes dirt. But I know it has an adverse effect on the trees. Just like our pollution, you can see the trees getting darker and withering close to our base. It's a not so subtle environmental through line. But hey, gotta build the factory. Okay, so these are just one. That's easy. Now we can head up to the corner. It's a medium-sized one, directly to the right. I think all the ones here are a little smaller than the ones we just took out. So if we deal with them now, then they shouldn't be a problem later. That's a lot more worms. Okay, we'll go turret line for this one, just to be safe. Looks like it's just small worms, though. Okay. Annoying, but should be manageable. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 left. Just in range to be able to hit the spawner, but we're also in range of the worm. It'd be nice if we had a weapon that could outrange those, but I don't think we'll get one. It's farther range than the machine gun, I don't think. Flamethrowers, I believe, closer range, that won't help. Well, there's some more up there. Okay, let's probably back off and let my health refill. Probably save. All right, those are three worms left. That's still pretty decent damage. As we move up the tech ladder, we'll get some more armor, better protection against damage and attacks, but for now, just need to be careful. If we die, or when we die, we drop a corpse, just like in pretty much all the other games we played up to this point. DSP didn't really do that. I don't remember. But like in Satisfactory, we'll drop a corpse and Soul style, we'll have to run back and get all of our stuff. Okay, let our health top up, and we should be able to start taking out the last of the buildings. Once we're kind of safe from any immediate threat from biters, we'll need to look at upgrading our weapon tech too. There's separate tech upgrades for both explosive and regular bullet-based damage. Maybe think about getting a flamethrower. Alright, that one's done. But it looks like another one popped up on the map. That wasn't there before, was it? Smaller hive. I guess we'll deal with that while we're out here. And then we're safe for a bit. Oh, it's right there. that one's much smaller. She will just stroll up in there and light it up. Oh, yeah, worms hidden in the trees, though. No, never mind. Just the one. Okay. That should end the immediate threat for now. So we'll swing back to base. I think I need to pick up, or at least restock all the stuff that's making ammo. And then we need to connect the base in the south. Be careful not to throw grenades at our own walls. Okay. 556 belts, that should be enough. But before we head down there, let's see what else we can craft up, because we're going to need smelters and inserters. And we're going to need a bunch for that. And our timing is good because that's 3 more nodes completely exhausted. I guess one upside is, as all the stuff in the main base gets completely tapped out for resources, we can basically just clear out all these and have more space to build. And I think ultimately, at least for the next stretch of the game, our iron production is going to be coming from that spot to the south, and it's going to be running all the way up. I'll just have it cut through and maybe just go around the last bits of coal and have the belt merge in here, bringing up a ton of smelted iron plates, and that should supply the base for a bit. We're gonna have to continue to move. In fact, let's not forget to get our tech upgrades. This was where I was temporarily building red science to do some early game unlocks in the tech, but all the stuff is gone now. I need to clean up my power lines at some point as well. It's not the cleanest ever because it's level 1 power poles. It's a bit messy, but it's alright. Our initial bases in these factory automation games, initial bases are never pretty. We'll make it look beautiful in the future. Oh, we can get modular armor. That is, well, that would have been helpful earlier. It's the next tier up of protective gear. Could definitely use that. We'll throw some more steel in ammo production, and then that should allow us to forget about it for a bit. We'll see. Right now, kind of a rare instance of there being no enemy hives on the map. Drop a couple stacks in here to free up some inventory space. And we'll fast craft some level 2 inserters. We'll just grab some of the circuits from here. Since from now on we're going to be focusing exclusively on level 2 everything for a bit. And then I'll have to go back, I'll probably do it off stream, and upgrade all of our initial facilities here to level 2. Level 2 belts, level 2 underground routes, level 2 inserters. Ooh, can unlock. I will do it in order. Explosives, high-powered dynamite, essentially. We need red circuits for modular armor, but we can't do that until we get plastic, which is what we need from our oil production. That's a ways off. Sulfur, sulfuric acid, sulfur, even engines. Where we're headed after we secure more iron production is fluid production, which we definitely won't get to that today. I mean, get all of our setup stuff down here, and we'll see where we're at time-wise. When we come back to Factorio, I will probably be a bit further ahead. I don't think I'll be close to being able to leave the planet yet, but I should be into fluid production. Again, in every automation game, my least favorite phase is fluid production, but I think I learned a lot in my initial run-throughs of this game, how to set stuff up. I just might have to load up my save and see how I configured everything, because I don't remember, but that'll be fun. Okay, we can go a little closer. If you try and belt through an obstacle, it'll automatically plop down an underground one for you. Okay, that's a little too high. We want to have all of our smelting be a bit further away from everything and just run it up with belts. In fact, we could go side to side. Instead of going vertically, we can go horizontal. What I'm going to do is start with one line. This will be a good opportunity to show how I've set up my smelting. This is going to be just for iron plates for now. I'm probably need to do this for steel afterwards. But we want to take the incoming line and split it amongst two routes so we can have two rows of smelters. And since we only have one component, actually we don't. We do have two components. We need coal. That's right. Okay. Well, that means we're going to need to run everything to that other part we just cleared to the right. So I need to run power all the way over here. That's a lot of coal. That should be adequate for a while. Okay. Let me at least get everything out there and set up. That might be where we call it for today. But this coal is going to run into the base and supply not only the iron smelting, but anything else we're smelting. More copper, more steel, could be more stone too. And that should be good for a bit. You can always tap into this one up here. The coal is fine. Iron's a bit further out, which sucks, but not much we can do there. We'll need more power poles, which means more steel. Okay, we unlocked modules. These are a bit more advanced as far as something to build, but these allow us to augment our buildings. We can have them produce faster or more efficiently, or lower their consumption of energy. So we craft these and we slot them in. Bulk inserters, these will grab things in a cluster instead of one at a time. Okay, where else are we going? Uranium, that's our first foray into potentially nuclear power. But where's the off-world stuff? It must be on this tier. There it is. Okay, we're not that far away. We have to get through basic fluid processing up through blue circuitry. Okay. Still a ways off before we're looking at getting off-world, but we're making progress. It's a lot faster than the original base game before the expansion. The rocket was the last thing you kind of did as the way to unlock the final tier of research tech, and that was the quote-unquote end goals to launch the rocket. Now it's just the beginning. Alright, let's craft a boatload of these. And just like before, we're going to run power. Let's go directly sideways. I can make a small gap in the wall. Where is it? We go out and we hook down. Oh, I didn't need to do that. I could just continue from here and just hook around. Alright. I'm just going to delete those. We'll head over from down here and we stay out of the way of all the power stuff that's being run up through here. We go like that. Some more stone here if we need it. And here's our massive site for coal. It's massive now, but I'm sure it'll be tapped out before we know it. So for here, we're going to go... I should have crafted more of the drills before I left. Okay, we'll put down 9. We can add more later. Yeah, I'll drop one over here on the corner. And then ideally what I'd like to do is set up another line here when I have more drills and merge in another stack that's going right up there into the main line that's going in the base. But for now, this will do. We're going to need a lot of coal. Kind of forgot how much of an emphasis in the early game there is on expansions, securing resources. I wasn't expecting everything to run out so quick. Oh, we want to not cut directly through the stone field. Go around. Question is, do I have enough belts to get all the way from down here into the base? I need to craft landfills at some point. One thing we have the ability to do is fill in water, but where is that? It's down here. Oh, it's just straight up stone. Takes 25 stone, though. It's a lot. Instead, we'll clear the trees. And this should intersect with our supply of stone ore or iron ore coming up from the south, and we can hook that in. And this is a bit of a tangent, but I will demonstrate how I set up my smelter array from scratch, and that'll probably be the last thing we do for today. Still counts as impassable terrain. Oh, might have just enough to get close. Yeah, okay, we can get close. We'll have to run up and grab more belts in order to connect it, but we made it to where we need to. Although I'm going to move this. I'll explain what I'm doing with that in a sec. Okay, another node empty. We need to craft more of the underground ones, though. I'll double check the map. No immediate spawns. That's good. I get the feeling there's probably more. The map is massive in this game, by the way. We have these satellite dishes in base. I walked by them a few times. They slowly scan the periphery of the map, revealing more. I could plop down some more so it'll do it a bit faster. But the actual map, I think it has a limit. But it's big. This portion around is just a minuscule part of the map. All right. So now we can I'm gonna have to get this on the other side of that belt though, which is a little annoying. Now this particular setup I'm about to use, I saw this early on when I first started playing and kind of variations of it. I don't know who in the community invented doing this, but it seems like the standard for doing two component split setups like this. But basically we run belts up to a splitter. We go underground in order to get on the other side of the splitter. Like so. And then we route the output into the other splitter on the other side, and then that causes it to split the contents. Why did I not do that? There we go. So what it's doing is it's double splitting half of the belt for one component and the other, because we're going to be doing just regular plates with this. So we need ore plus coal, and this setup allows us to feed two components and split them amongst the belts. Pretty handy setup, and it looks pretty clean too. But I don't know where it came from. It just seems like the standard. Now we just need to set up our furnaces that are going to grab everything. And I think I'm going to do 8. There is a ratio. I need to relearn ratios in this game, but we'll go 8 and 8. Eventually, once we get bots, we'll be able to do mass blueprints and dropping down builds, but we don't have that capability yet. That'll make things a lot more efficient. In fact, I'll probably want to upgrade to that level of tech before we go off-world, so that when we go to a new planet, we're not having to do a lot of this stuff by hand. Okay. We'll see if we can match this production, or if it's going to tap out our supply of iron ore. This will be a test. Since these furnaces process faster than the little cone-shaped ones we started off with at the beginning of the game. So that's our output. This is our input. Now we just need power. And it should be a pretty organized way to do this now, since these have a bigger radius than the regular power poles. It's one thing I'm going to fix when I go back and redo a lot of the builds. Yeah, it's symmetrical. Not entirely necessary to do it symmetrically, but it looks cleaner. Okay. Now, how are we going to get all of this onto the bus is the question. I think we want to go around. It's going to be kind of a long roundabout way to do this, but for now, until we delete all this stuff later, once all the resources are gone, I'm going to take the belt underneath, loop it up, and then cut under to merge with the main line going in from here. Then I can fix it later if I need to. That's another node empty. As far as I can tell, specifically in the early game in Factorio, a lot of early game builds are what we've called in these types of games spaghetti build. Belts everywhere. Later on, once we get more logistics options opened up, we'll be able to fly things around with bots or drones. But for now, until we get access to that kind of tech, it's going to be nothing but spaghetti. Here's the satellite dishes that are scanning. We'll get more of those later. Okay, so we want these to merge here with a priority on the left. It might have just... I might be able to fit it. There we go. Okay, this is a considerable boost to our incoming production on metal plates now. It's not going to be enough to just sit back and do nothing, but for now it will fuel things like over here with the gears, which I'm going to need to upgrade all of this stuff to level 2s. Could start now. and then I'll make the supply on the main bus itself usable for other things where we're going to need each of these components. I'm going to do the same thing for the copper wires, and I got to figure out what I'm going to put down here on this fourth one. It might be, I don't know if it'd be fluid. I think I'm going to probably, there's so much work to do. The base is going to need to be expanded out. I might go out considerable distance to the left, and then all the fluid production will be up there, and then ultimately I'm going to have to expand the bus to another set of 4. So it might be another set of 4 up top, and all of the components for fluid production is going to dump there. And so by the time we revisit this, it's going to probably be 12 lines or more. And I'll probably do... Wait, this one hasn't been producing anything the whole time? Whoops. It didn't have... Oh, this one either. Alright. I'll probably move... Maybe move this up, so it's further out of the way and still feeding the stuff for green science. And then have a multi-tiered setup that's going to get me all of the logistics stuff, because it's kind of scattered right now. We have belts and underground here. We need level 2 belts. We need level 2 underground stuff. That's probably what I'll do, and then it'll all be in one spot. One thing that drives me up the wall in the games like this is where I have to remember where all of the things that I have to pick up and use are located. So I might try and build towards having it be centralized, just to save myself the headache later. Same thing here. I might move this elsewhere and have marked level 2 poles being crafted outright. So I could foresee, right now the base covers a decent amount, but really it needs to be like triple the size for all the stuff I'm going to need to do, which will make it easier to connect to the satellites, like more coal, more copper, more iron. But that means potentially having to worry about more attacks. This is the first time I've played this game and haven't had to deal with constant attacks at my walls, but I guess being proactive and taking out all the biters made that one less thing to worry about for now. I might not even need to consider putting walls, because there's no imminent threat. We could cover this entire space and still not really be at risk of angry bugs trying to knock our facility down. Okay. That is a good place to call it. This is one of those games where if I'm not careful, I will be working on an idea for hours. This is one of those 5 in the morning games like Satisfactory and DSP if you're not careful. But what we can do is, let me pause everything and go to outro, and we'll see who's online that we can raid. Oh hey, Blue's online, and he's also playing Factorio. That's topical. We can head over there. I might be able to pick his brain. If you folks who've been following along on the stream want to see what like way advanced level stuff looks like, I've raided Blue a couple times and he's been playing Factorio, but that'll be a good example of what it looks like when you're actually got a facility up and running. So let me go ahead and we'll mute game audio. We'll go to outro. And we will call that a stream for today. Thanks to the folks that came and hung out. Hopefully this first look at Factorio is interesting. We will be streaming this off and on. I don't know about every single week, maybe. This one is taking the place of Portrait of Ruin since we beat that in the last session. So we'll be working on Factorio some more, but I'm going to be playing it offline in addition to what we do on stream. So the progress is going to kind of jump forwards as I kind of make individual sessions worth of progress going through the game. But whenever we circle back, I'll explain what's happened, what's changed. But it should be a good time. So in the meantime, have a good rest of your evening and or morning. We should be back tomorrow, same time, for a drawing stream. I remember my own schedule. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be drawing tomorrow, but we'll be working on something. So in the meantime, catch you folks later, and now let's go see what an actual good Factorio player looks like. Catch you folks later.